actually remember I came down here, it had been constructed a few months. Drove my boat into it from Passalute, and all I saw was water and some submerged aquatic vegetation. I was like, man, what a waste. Those old guys didn't know what they were doing. But I didn't realize that it's an extremely cost-effective way to create wetlands. Let the river do it for you. What they did while I worked here, they used heavy equipment to open a gap in the natural levee so that the river flow could go into that open water area. And you know, a lot of work went into that. It was planned by the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. There was engineering design. There was massive equipment construction, and then they made a hole in the levee and left. And a couple months later, I drove through it and thought, what a waste, because I didn't see any results yet. And now, 30 some odd years later, you've got several hundred acres of new wetlands here that were not here when I worked here. I want to start with this image here showing coastal Louisiana. And it's a beautiful image. You can see the land and the water mixing with the river water mixing with the ocean water. And it's some of my favorite places, but even more of my favorite places, it brings to mind the processes that create these landscapes. And although this place is unique, the process is not. The process is common, it's universal to all our coasts. Water comes down the rivers and it's confined in the river channel, and then the water slows when it leaves the channel. When it slows, it drops its sediment load, and so you start getting a accumulation of sediments at the mouth of the river. Mile zero of the river is further upstream of this current. We are out in the Gulf of Mexico, where the river has slowed because it can spread out and drops its sediments, and has filled the Gulf of Mexico for several hundred feet here. And this is the result when you allow the water and sediment to leave the river and instead flow into a coastal bay. You get this wetland. I see a tremendous diversity in vegetation, and that's because you have a diversity in elevation gradients. You have stuff that's fairly high with only a few inches of water on it right now, and stuff that goes out to a foot or two of water on it. And because of those differences in flooding and differences in sunlight under the water, you get the conditions that allow this plant to dominate here, but that cattail behind me to dominate there. And that creates different foods for insects, and some insects do better eating the rice cut grass, and others do better eating the cattail. And then you get the fish to eat them, and you get the birds to come in and eat them, and then you get a really wonderful wetland community of fish, wildlife, vegetation, bugs, and worms. The crevasses are telling us that the river can still build wetlands. And this place, because of subsidence primarily, because of the dams on the Mississippi River upstream, and the lack of sediment, because of sea level rise accelerating, this place will not be here in 100 years or so. But this process that builds it will still be available to us, and we can manage this process in other places, and people have managed this process in other places to build wetlands. That's wildlife management. It's about protecting the processes that maintain the diversity of vegetation on the landscape. Not about putting a fence up and keeping people out or animals in. It's about the process.